Oh, wait, maybe I'm ready now.
Mhm. Yeah, that was. Did we just do the 30-second intro 3 times?
We did. So, uh, and my dumb ass changed the Twitch password. I don't remember what I changed it to already. So,
Oh, good Lord.
man.
Well, in case you guys are wondering, I'm on my phone. My computer is having some issues. I've been trying to work on it for over an hour, and I don't know what the hell the problem is. I am not on Geek Squad, and everything the computer has told me to do to fix it
You've
is
done.
not working. All of the permissions that I'm supposed to have granted my camera are working, and then it says my browser is still blocking my microphone and camera. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. I am very pissed off at the moment, so I'm not going to let it affect I'm not going to let it affect, the show, other than the fact that, now I got to hold my phone up for the next 2.5 hours, or however long this goes. So yeah, not off to the best start. If anybody out there knows how to fix this crap, please, for the love of God, send me a message and help me.
We'll probably have to partner up at sometime over the weekend and see if we can figure it out. It's like I'm one of those people where if I'm not looking at it, I'd be a horrible tech person, because if I'm on a phone with somebody, I would never be able to tell you how to fix anything. I can
Right.
come here and like look at it and do it, but to like tell you, I couldn't tell you how to fix it. So,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah, I mean,
Like I
maybe
say, I'm
because a
I'm
lot
getting
of laptops are set up different too. So
yeah. I mean, I'm getting this message that says the browser has blocked your mic and camera. To join the studio, click the camera icon in your address bar, then check the always allow option and click done, then reload the page. I clicked on the stupid icon, and it says my camera and microphone are allowed. This page is accessing your camera and microphone. There are two options: always block your camera, or continue to allow StreamYard to access your camera and microphone. And that option is the one that's highlighted. I have clicked done. I have reloaded the page. I keep getting the goddamn message. I don't know what else I have to do to get this camera and microphone unblocked. I don't even know how it got blocked in the first place.
yeah, that's kind of weird.
So here I am holding my cell phone. So
Yeah, and no, Amy, you were not late. We just
can I even see the chat
yeah, Amy.
comments? Okay, all right. I can see the comments. I didn't even.
Uh, so that being said, guess I welcome to Metalheads tonight. We are awaiting our guest, so hopefully they will jump on here shortly. Actually, I need to make sure email up just in case pops up and I didn't see it. So, nope, nope, I haven't said anything. So hopefully everything's good. Uh, you want to have a cell phone holder, Chris? Your Aunt Amy says you don't have a cell phone holder. She's
No,
she's gonna
no,
monitor the show now. So
no. And the funny thing is my phone case here used to have one of those little tripods that you could fold out. The goddamn thing broke. So
yeah, that's always the first thing to go is the little tripod thing. So
yeah.
we just got new phones, so I'm having to like figure all that out this week too. So I've been having lots of fun. So
Oh yeah.
it's, it's, it's a eventful week for me though. I mean, went to as you can see, went to the Lamb of God, Mastodon, Kerry King, and Malevolent show on Thursday. Uh,
Yep.
then had to leave out for Michigan on Saturday morning. So, so
Right.
needless to say, we were going to have a show, and I called Chris. I said, "Dude, I didn't think about all this. I don't think I don't think I'm gonna have time to even research to do anything for the show." So,
Right. Yeah. That was
it
it.
was,
It made all the sense in the world to kind of take the week off with everything you had to do, and then that drive you had to make. Because trust me, I've made it plenty of times.
yeah,
So
yeah, it was. It, like I said, it was really my fault because for some reason I was thinking they were on 2 different weeks. I have no idea why I was thinking that. And Susie was like, "No, we're leaving this weekend." I'm like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that. I thought that was." Um, and then because I had said because I was saying I was like, well, we're having an interview, so that'd be cool. We'll just interview and go to bed, and then I can drive in the morning. You know, it won't be that bad. Because I'm not having to research anything, just do the interview and go. And she says, "Oh no, it's this weekend." I'm like, "What the hell? Seriously?" She's like, "I was like, oh my god." So I was like, "Yeah, that's probably not going to work." So, unfortunately, but, it is what it is, and so we're not prone to taking off a lot. So, uh,
Yeah, thankfully. So
yeah, so we're usually gung ho about this. So it's it's definitely a release for both of us, I think. So,
yeah, it absolutely is.
you
It
you
absolutely is.
you guys have your fist and your porn, and we have Metalheads Unite. So,
well, well, I mean that is true. I mean everybody's got something.
I mean, it could be worse. We could be drinking or doing drugs or something. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, like the old like they used to say on TV, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Yeah, we're on the Metalhead Unite podcast. That's where we are.
That's right. That's right. And you should be too. Shame on
That's
you.
right. Should be.
That's a perfect way to keep your kids in line.
That's right.
Yeah. And then send them out to metal shows, and then release everything that way. So, and he's gone. So I have no idea what happened there, but okay. Uh, so if he, should I let him back in if he comes back? It's like, So, anyway, as we wait on Chris to join back in, he's having some technical difficulties on his end, so we apologize for that. And we're also kind of there you go, he's back.
Sorry, I got to stop. I haven't done this on the phone before. I need to stop pushing buttons.
Amy's laughing at us, by the way. So,
Well, she should be because I mean,
it's pretty. So it's pretty hysterical when these things happen. I mean, it's kind of like it's frustrating, but it's hysterical at the same time. So, where did you go? So I was in Detroit. My wife actually had to go to the Amazon warehouse there for work, and so I went with. She didn't want to go to Detroit by herself, and I kind of don't blame her being there alone. Like usually when they do the teams to do stuff like that in the warehouse setting, they send 3, 4, 6 people at a time, so you have a group of people that you're with. When you're with corporate, it doesn't work that way. So it's kind of like a one off thing. So, but it was cool. I got to go to a nostalgic venue there called the Machine Shop. If any of you are familiar with that,
right.
Man, I'll tell you, man. Like just I could have I would have paid $30 to go in that place without a band playing, just to look around because
Right.
I could have spent probably 3 hours in there looking at the people that have played in that venue. It's unreal. I'm talking Devil Driver, CKY, you name it. LA Guns was there when I was there. So a lot of bands like Non-Point's been there. Seven Dust. You name it, they've probably been there at some point. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen shows there, haven't you, Chris?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Oh my god, I figured you had been there before.
No. Well, I mean, I moved down here when I was 15.
Oh.
So wasn't driving yet, and I mean, Flint is a good, it's more than an hour from Ann Arbor.
Right.
So I mean, it's not a difficult drive, but when you don't drive, so you know. So yeah, no, I never got a chance to go to the machine shop when I was living up there, and I would like to check out a show up there one day for every single one of those reasons you just talked about. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, they call themselves the world famous machine shop for a reason because they absolutely are.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty like it's cool. They got like this the skeleton on a motorbike hanging from the ceiling and stuff. It's pretty wild. So then at one point, Susie's tapping me on the shoulder, and she goes, "Look!" And I look up, and the one of the waitresses was swinging on a swing hanging from the ceiling. I was just like, "What the hell?"
Damn it.
I was like, "Hey, this may have turned into a lap dance situation here. Let's see." And I'm just kidding.
You never know.
But that was kind of wild. I was just like, "Wow, this is just like just the stuff they were doing in there, and just the stuff everywhere. It was just crazy." They had like the exit signs had like 4 guitars, and the exit sign was in the middle of the 2 in the front, so it was like in a V shape, and had the exit sign in the middle. So, I mean, it's just like little stuff like that too. That was kind of pretty cool. They had like the bands were in the back, and there was a cage there, so nobody could get back there, but you could see them like getting ready to walk out. So that was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'll say this, man, like LA Guns, if you're not familiar with those, that's kind of a band we grew up on. So
Yep.
of course it's kind of a nostalgic to me just to see bands that, Phil Lewis is like 67. I think I looked up, and to be 67, the guy still sounds amazing. So
Yeah.
and I posted a video of David Coverdale the other day, which is he's well in his 70s.
Yeah, he is.
Hitting those notes in Still of the Night and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. But, and then you look at people like it's been posting stuff with Vince Neil and Axl Rose and stuff like that, and you're just like, okay, these guys aren't even close to that age yet. So, I mean, Vince probably is, but but still, you're still younger than both of those guys, and you're not able to hit the notes on your own song. That's pretty kind of
Well,
bad there. So,
Vince is well, the funny thing is Vince is 63, but Vince has got more stuff going on than just how old he is or isn't. I mean, he's let himself go, man. I mean, there's just no other way to say it, unfortunately. He just let himself go. He was supposed to be getting in shape for that stadium tour, because I remember seeing footage of him working out. He was trying to get into shape because even he admitted to the fact that, I mean, he can't. Well, he had. Well, to go even further back before that, if you remember, he had that performance at, what was it, that it was at some state fair, I think it was.
yeah, but it was
And
visually, yeah,
yeah, and he had to like stop singing after 4 songs because
couldn't breathe.
he couldn't breathe. So so we had to cut that performance short, and then they had announced that stadium tour, and that performance at that state fair was supposed to be like a tune-up.
Mhm.
So he wasn't even able to make it through, as far as I can remember, like half the set. He had to go off stage, and then he started actually supposedly taking it seriously, getting in shape, had a trainer and everything. Because I remember seeing some video footage of him training, to go out on that stadium tour. And I mean, from everything that I read, I mean, it went off without a hitch, and like he had his moments. But I mean, I guess they made it through. But I mean, even now, like seeing footage, and he's still. I mean, it's 2024. It's like not 1994 or even 2004. I mean, even 20 years ago, I'm sure he still sounded better than he did now. Of course, he was 43 back then and not 63. But just because you could sing like that in the 80s, and I was actually talking about this very thing with that dude I work with, who's the lead singer of his band, and we were actually talking about it. And there are certain singers who have singing styles that are not conducive to longevity.
Yeah, true.
It's just
Or
like the I mean the
I don't see the lead singer for Lorna Shore doing that kind of music for 20 more years. I mean,
No, and probably not Alex Terrible. And one of the singers that immediately comes to my mind is the lead singer from Steelheart, that band back in the day. I can't remember his name.
he
It's
actually, like, actually, I'm glad you brought him up because I actually seen a video of him last year doing that song, and I'm just like, man, he can't get up there like that, but he pretty damn close,
He
man.
gets close, but he can't hold it as long either.
Right.
So I mean, and that's not a knock because this
Oh,
guy is probably. God, I wish I knew how to spell his name. Hold on, but uh,
I mean, he's got to be in his late 50s, early 60s too. I mean,
yeah, Miljenko Matijevic.
yeah, it's definitely
Yeah, I mean he's from Croatia originally, and he's 59. So he's 60 years old, but I mean, like I say, that's not a knock against what he can do now in 2024. Because I mean, the way he was singing on "She's Gone" and "Never Let You Go" and all that stuff back in the 80s, I mean, my God, that dude was otherworldly. But I mean, that the way he sings, the way Vince Neil sings, and even to a certain extent, Axl Rose, the way they sing wasn't necessarily conducive to longevity. So they kind of by default put themselves in a situation where getting to the latter stages of their career where they all are now. Milyenko is 59, Vince Neil 63, and let's see, Axel. I guess one good thing about doing this on my phone is I can look shit up on my computer. Axl Rose is 62. So I mean, I guess I can multitask while I'm doing this. I guess if there's one bright side to this, so Axel's 62. And so of course we all kind of remember the Axl Rose memes back when they finally got back together with most of the original members. How puffy fucking Axl Rose looked.
right.
So welcome to the jungle. We got tons of cake. You remember all those freaking memes that came out of Axl Rose when they decided they were going to get back together.
And I couldn't see Axel hitting the "Don't Cry" notes anymore for sure. Like that.
No, and especially being able to hold that note that long at the very very end. So and David Coverdale is 72.
Yeah, and he was hitting that "Still of the Night" like it was nothing. I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah, I wonder if he can still hit that super duper high note at the very very end of "Here I Go Again." You know that one I'm talking about? I wonder if he can still hit that one. But
You don't want to hear me do it because that was a stupid.
no, God, no. People would leave the chat room. No, it's ridiculous. But and the another modern singer that I think is starting to address her future is because they just had their new single come out a couple days ago is Tatiana from Ginger. If you notice she's kind of gone in the other direction and she's singing predominantly clean vocals now, and she's got a great voice to it. So I mean, she can absolutely sing, and she's always been able to do that. But you know if you notice, a lot of their newer stuff is leaning towards the predominantly clean. Now don't get me wrong, at the very very end of that new single, uh, you know, there's a little bit of her doing her growls in the background, but she's doing that
It mixes it
in
up.
she's doing that. They've got her gutturals in behind her cleans at the same time at the very very end of the track, and it sounds good, but it almost seems to like I mean that's just the impression that I'm getting because of the way that their music has been leaning the last little bit. Definitely the last album for sure, and then this new single. It just seems like that's just the impression I get just by what I'm hearing. I mean, obviously without asking her or anything, or I haven't really even dug into any other interviews that she's done, so I don't know if that's the impetus for going to the other end of the spectrum, going to the predominantly clean vocals, but I would like to think that there's a little bit of that involved,
Yeah.
even if it's just back there in the back of her mind somewhere. Maybe I should not do that as often to save my throat, to prolong my career. Who knows? I have no idea, but
I can tell,
it's definitely not a bad idea.
I can tell you somebody that bailed on that with their new single was Arch Enemy. So
Yes, they did. Good Lord.
I said, well, so much for the clean vocals.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, although I did like the last album, Deceiver Deceiver a lot because of that. I like the mix up of that.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan regardless, but and
Yeah.
there are some songs that I do like that do that, but
Mhm.
Just the I don't know. To me, I like the mix, just more
Well,
personally.
well, and that's actually one of the great things that Alyssa White has actually brought to Arch Enemy, because before she joined the band,
They didn't have any cleans.
no, they had zero clean vocals. Angela Gossow did none, and oh man, I'd have to go back and double check because Johan Leva was the original singer, and I'm pretty sure they didn't do any clean vocals at all with him in the band. I know for a fact that they did none with Angela in the band. And the funny thing about that is that actually has nothing to do really with the vocalists themselves. That's all Michael Amat's. That's all his doing, because he was the founder of the band, and that was his doing. That's the vocal style that he wanted. And uh, I remember when the album came out that had the very first clean vocals that Alyssa White did. There was an interview that he did talking about that, and he just said he's never had an issue with clean vocals. He just never really saw a fit for the songs that he wrote for Arch Enemy until Alyssa came in, and just some of the stuff that he wrote for a couple of the albums. The first couple albums that she was in the band, it was still just, all straight regular guttural vocals. Like always, she picked up right where Angela left off. But when I'm wanting to say it was when Will to Power came out, I'd have to double check that. Uh, there was the very first kind of little dabbling of clean vocals that Michael allowed into the songs. So that is all Michael Amat's doing. But
Well,
uh,
I'm sure it probably made him a better songwriter too. With having to kind of use some of her strengths in his writing. So
yeah, and the funny thing is both of her singing styles. I don't even know which one was with Alyssa especially, and even with Tatiana, she's the same way. I don't even know what style you could even call their strength. I don't even know if you could say that Alyssa's strength is her gutturals or her clean vocals. Same thing with Tatiana. I don't even know which way you would go with either one of them to say, all right, they're stronger doing this and than that, and vice versa.
Mhm.
Because I mean, obviously we've heard them both do both, and they do both exceptionally well as far as I'm concerned. So there's really no drop off either way.
Mhm.
And I
And
think just I
like
think just I think
Michael,
just having the I think just having the flexibility to have that diversity in your vocalist does allow you to write, like you said, for Michael to write different things to allow the band as a whole just to sound different.
mhm.
So it's definitely, not a problem at all to have a vocalist who can do both by any stretch of the imagination. Whether it's male or female, doesn't really matter, because I mean there are male vocalists who can do the same thing. So to be able to do both, and the funny thing is there are vocalists who can kind of do three different things, because the
Mhm.
clean vocals and gutturals are kind of on both ends of the spectrum, and then there's like that little gray area right in the middle where you pull it back from the gutturals, and you yet you can understand everything they're saying. So it's still more aggressive. It's still more of an aggressive style than just singing clean vocals, but it's not so you know obviously down in the guts. I mean, that's where guttural comes from, of course. It's not just a clever name. Just reaching deep down just for that really deep aggressive sound that, I mean, unless you really have a lyric sheet or something, you're not going to be able to know what the actual words are most of the time. So I mean, there's actually, as far as I'm concerned anyway, there's really like three different distinct metal singing styles as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Well, I know you guys heard us talk enough here, so our guest is actually in the Holden area here. So
Oh, he's on deck.
yeah, he's on deck. So and I wish I would have been able to talk to him before, so I didn't kill his name. So I'll let him butcher me. I'll let him butcher me live on TV. So we do have the lead guitarist from Indian metal band Against Evil. Shasink Venkat. I don't know how you pronounces that. So he will correct me, I'm sure, in a minute. So we'll bring him in here. Hey, how's it going?
Hey man, all good. How are you guys?
Good, good.
Doing all right.
Yeah. So how do you pronounce your name? Because I know I probably killed it. So.
No, you killed it, but in a good way.
Oh, I did. Okay, good, good. So,
Yeah, there we go.
So,
All right.
So we appreciate you taking it because it's Saturday morning there. So we appreciate
Yes, it is. Yeah.
your morning to spend with us. And sorry for the confusion with time frames. I actually noticed why you said that when I went in to do live tonight. For some reason, they changed the time that I set. So I'm just like, that's not right. So, so, uh,
That's
so,
all.
so I'm glad you actually asked though. So we weren't sitting here, or you weren't sitting here with not us here. So that would
Right.
even been worse. Going, oh, these guys are horrible. They're not even here. So,
And if you remember right, we actually had that happen once. We actually had there was a little bit of confusion with one of our guests over in Finland, and they were actually
they run an hour
excuse me.
early.
Yeah, they were actually in the chat an hour early, and it just so happened, and I want to say it was Anzillo, if I remember right. Um, and I just so happened to come into the office to do something, and I had everything pulled up ready to go, and I looked, I was like, oh shit, someone's here. Yeah, and we're like, hang on a second, just can you come back in an hour? And thankfully they were gracious enough to do that. So yeah, so these things where there's 6 to, I mean, in this case, 11 hours time difference. Sometimes it gets a little squirrely, and especially over here in the United States, where depending on what time of year it is, we've got daylight savings time over here. So, you know, so 9 months out of the year, it's one time, and then the other 3 months out of the year, it's an hour earlier. So, I mean, trying to coordinate everything, across oceans and multiple time zones, it's gotten a little sketchy a couple of times. So.
Well, I confuse myself a lot of times because, like I said, we're in one time zone. Our streaming platform's hub is in a different time zone. So
Right.
I have to okay, like when I was telling you guys, I was like, okay, what time is it in this part of India right now? so 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 I would know compared to Central Time what I'm looking at. So, and I
Right.
put that in there. I say, hey, what time? How far ahead are they from United States Central Time? So it was telling me like 8.5 hours, I think, or something like that. So, um, so,
Yeah.
okay, so that's not too bad. So, but yeah, we appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us, though. We really do. So it looks like, so I guess my first thing I was going to ask you was, it looks like you guys have been at it for like 10 years now. So is that anniversary past, or is it coming up? The 10 years.
It's actually coming up, but it was late in 2014 when we started this, but it wasn't until 2015 when we actually released something. So I guess technically, if you look at it from a release perspective, the 10th is next year. But yeah, it's around October or November ish is when we started back in 2014.
Okay, cool. So it's a 10-year anniversary coming up. So we'll be I have to write that down so I remember that. So give them a shout out when that happens. So
Absolutely.
we follow them on their social. So or what I found anyway. So so then I started following you guys on Spotify as well. So
Yes, same. Yep.
so it's a good deal. So that was my first question. I didn't know if it had passed. So 10 years and like you know being, I think Chris can kind of mirror the sentiment here is that we don't get to keep track a lot of bands outside of the US. So when we hear this, we're just like, I can see why we haven't heard of you guys, probably because I mean, our radio's not going to be like, hey, check out this new Indian metal band, so
Right.
and that's the good thing I think about Spotify, that what they do. I don't really agree with how they pay their people, but that's not for me to get involved with, because I could be on here for hours talking about that, because I think you guys should the artist in general should be getting a little better deal there. But
Oh God, it's not even close to how much more, especially when they're working it with we're working with decimal points. I mean,
right.
you can't at at worst, you should be dealing in whole numbers. The fact that they're dealing in decimal points is well, borderline should be criminal. So it's borderline criminal.
I think
Really.
I think it should equal whatever a trucker makes per mile. So there you go.
Oh, see, there you go. That would be a lot more fair.
That would be a lot more fair, yeah. So, but anyway, give us a little bit of backstory here about how you guys came about, or.
Yep, sure. So nothing too fancy because obviously the metal scene in India is pretty much non-existent. Uh, Especially from where we come from, we are from a very tiny city down south by the beach, which has about zero metal scene. So our singer kind of jokes sometimes that the four of us are the metal scene in the city. So which is pretty much true. So yeah, we've all played for different bands. Yes, there were more than one band back in the day. So we used to play for a cover band, doing classic rock, heavy metal covers, doing shows, and that's how we got to know each other. And we did that for quite some time, about 5 years or so, and then we were like. It's time for us to start writing music, and we all shared similar influences because all of uh, our heavy metal influences were the classic heavy metal bands back from the 80s. We were all big fans of Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica, and all that. So our influences were common, and we just started writing some songs. We had no intentions of playing live or anything like that. We just wanted to take it a step at a time. So we just came up with a few songs, released an EP back in 2015 called Fatal Assault. It was recognized by a local label here called Transcending Obscurity. It's still around. It's an Indian-based record label which now primarily distributes mostly international extreme metal bands, if I'm not wrong. But back in the day, almost they used to do all styles of metal. So they put our album out, and it did pretty good. We did a few shows, and yeah, so that was how it all started.
Cool. So how would the scene there, like, so is the scene in India any different when you get into the bigger cities like Dubai or anything like that, or?
Uh, it is. It is. If you go into the bigger cities, there are some big cities such as Bangalore or Mumbai. The scene is definitely better than what it is in our city, but there's hardly any shows happening. Probably like one in a couple of months. And yeah, it is a little better than our city, but if you compare it to the European countries, it's pretty much non-existent still.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the U.S. is probably non-existent compared to what Europe does. So.
Sometimes I kind of get that feeling too. I mean, there's, we have the pockets, of course. I mean, we have California. That's kind of where the thrash metal scene started here in the United States, and then we've got pockets in the in the Northeast, and then there's a lot of death metal bands that came out of Florida, and of course Pantera's from Texas, well, with the exception of Philip Anselmo's from Louisiana, but still, that little bit of southern flair there. And of course, we've interviewed bands from Idaho, we've interviewed bands from the Midwest, but as far as like hotbeds go, they're kind of sporadic in this country too. So so excuse me. So how exactly I mean, the four of you guys have been together the entire time that the band has been going on, which is actually the more bands that we talk to, we seem to, and even with the huge bands, I mean, bands staying together with all the original members for 10 plus years is kind of becoming rare. So are you guys proud of the fact that you guys have stayed together with all the original members all this time through 3 LPs and an EP?
Absolutely, man. Because it's not easy, and this is not what we do full time. I'm sure you guys already realize that, and it involves a lot of sacrifice. And I'm really thankful to have found like-minded people and that's the only way we can, we could have, done this. All the sacrifices that we've all done have been pretty much, in equal. We've all had opportunities to, get better jobs or leave the country for better jobs, or do a lot of things, but we still stuck with this. So it's sacrifice. It all comes down to sacrifice. We really love heavy metal, and we really want to keep doing this. Irrespective of how the scene is in India, and now because of internet, our audience is the global audience, right? So that's what we are, looking at. So that's what motivates us, and that's what kept us going. So yeah, I'm extremely proud and really thankful to have found three other like-minded dudes like me. I mean, also, I'm really, really proud of it.
Well, I know when like I reviewed the album, like I was looking up all the info for it because I went in blind, not knowing who Against Evil even was. So when I was listening to the album, I said, "This is pretty badass." So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do the write up on this or whatever. So I go in and start looking at you guys' background stuff. The first thing I seen was from India, and I said, "No way, no fucking way, they're from India." Like, sweet, like, and I told Chris, I said, "I got to reach out, dude. I gotta see if they're willing to come on because I think it's pretty amazing because if I feel like we start this because of bands like that are in a situation where you're not getting much recognition probably because you're in a small city, and people over here probably have no idea about the metal scene in India. So that's kind of like I was like, well, let's bring him on, let him explain all that to the people, and hopefully drag some people into your socials and your Spotify's and stuff like that, and kind of get people listening and turned on to you guys because that's kind of like what we do. We take the time to reach out to smaller bands and try to give them a platform to build themselves up, and we'll fly the flag, man. Like whatever so now that we're following whatever you guys are into or doing, and we'll be glad to share that over here. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure how much reach we have in India either because I haven't really looked at the analytics in a while. So I do know we do. I do know we hit some European stuff though. So
yeah.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you so much once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you talked about how you guys had no real intention of playing live or anything when you started this whole thing. In the past 9.5, 10 years coming up on on your anniversary, like we talked about, have you guys had a chance to get out in India and make it into the bigger cities?
Uh, we did. We did pretty much play in every major city in India. And we've also done two European tours, one in 2019 and one was last year. And we leave for another European tour in about 3 weeks. So, yeah, we've been doing quite a bit of live playing.
Nice. You guys have one in the can. Awesome. So who's gonna be on that tour?
It's just us playing with local bands from Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. It's a 3 week tour that's starting in the end of August up until mid September. So we're just going to be hitting clubs and playing with local bands.
There's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Far from it. Now, I'm trying to go back through my notes because, like Jason said, he was the one who had done the review on the new album, and I know for a fact that earlier this year I did a review on another band from there, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the band, but as soon as I see the album cover, I will remember who it was. So I'm scrolling back through my notes. Have you had, and I know India is a big ass country, but I mean, have you guys ever had a chance to, meet up with anybody else from there? Because I mean, we do know that there are other bands from India, but with the country being as big as it is, I'm sure that you guys are probably spread out far and wide. So
yes, we are. spread out very far and wide. But yeah, we do know a lot of bands. We meet them whenever we go to play shows in those bigger cities, and we also have an open air festival. It's called Bangalore Open Air, and it's the only festival in India that brings international bands. It happens once a year, and it's a 1 to 2 day festival. It is. Uh, in partnership with the guys from Wakan Open Air. So we get some really awesome bands playing here. So back in January, we had Creator and In Flames playing in India, and that's the place where we meet pretty much all the bands from India. That's why we all catch up once a year. So yeah, that's where
Nice.
we meet up.
Very nice.
So, how did you guys come up with the name Against Evil?
No real reason actually. I mean, there's no reasoning or any particular thing. We're just looking for something catchy, that's not already taken. It was a hard time for us to find, a really catchy name. It was not already taken, but yeah, we
It's
thought it was cool. Yep.
it's
Sorry.
crazy that name has never been used though. That's pretty wild. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were really particular about that because a lot of bands I see were using, like, there were 4 to 5 bands active at the same time using the same name. We didn't want to do that.
Right.
So we came up with the name. We liked it, and once we started writing music, it was, I mean, it was not intentional that the direction of the lyrics that we're going uh, was to match what we came up with the band name. But yeah, it kind of, Against Evil, we were writing songs about society and politics and war and stuff like that. So it kind of worked out.
so what we'll do is when you guys do a U.S. tour, we'll book you guys in the Bible Belt for like 7 or 10 states, and everybody will think you're a religious band, and everybody just buy tickets, and then at
That's
that,
right.
at that point, who cares? You
We
got
get
tickets. I mean,
we get that a lot, man.
but I mean, if you look at the name, that would be the first thing somebody would probably think. Oh, that's a Christian rock band or something. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but I mean, that's just to me. It's like I'm like the person that I never take anything that I read literal, because you never know like what the person on the other end of that's thinking when they name stuff, even songs. Like I can take a song and be like, oh well, that kind of like that's we've talked about this before. That's kind of what speaks to me from the song, but that may not even be what the song's about. So I don't
It's
I
true.
don't I don't go out. It's like I wouldn't come on here and be like, oh well, that song's about this, and you're like, no, dude, that's not what it's about. So
Yeah.
because that's not my place. You're the one that wrote it. So
Yeah.
but the good thing about music is you can kind of take it to reflect what you're going through. So um, that's kind of the beauty about any music. Any genre of music kind of does that. So
Yeah. Unless you're listening to songs like "Stay Dead" talking about a chainsaw to the head. I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory.
It is. It is.
And
So,
sometimes the message is just right in your face, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So
so quick question.
Sometimes we're just trying to have fun. Not necessarily songs need to have a hidden meaning or a deep meaning. Sometimes it's okay to have fun, especially in a genre like heavy metal. We can write about something serious as politics or war, and the next song can be about motorcycles. So it just works.
right, hell yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it doesn't help. It doesn't help when people look at the members of the band. The first thing they see is Noble John either. So I mean, it's
We call him not so noble John.
not so.
Yeah.
First thing I said, I was going down the list, and I was like, okay, that's the only name I can probably pronounce right out of these guys. So, uh, I was like, he's not Indian. He's just pretending, right? So,
Yeah. We found a kick-ass drummer, and we got him we've smuggled him to India.
Hey, whatever works, it definitely paid off. It definitely paid off. Excuse me.
That's
Oh.
But man, I forgot I had a question on my mind. I forgot what it was now. Oh, I was talking about the review. When I did the review, you kind of touched on some of the bands that I actually heard. I kind of felt like I could hear some Judas Priest and some Iron Maiden vibes in there. I kind of it was like it was retro in a way, but it wasn't like totally like 80s or anything. You could tell that the
Right.
work and stuff like that was definitely on point with these times. This wasn't by no means, but I do I did like it's funny that you're on here because I think the guitar work was the thing that stood out to me the most with the solos and some of the intros and some lead ins too throughout the album really stuck out. So, and actually, I think I said that at the end that there's a lot of distinct riffs that once I hear these a few times, I think I'll be able to like play it on Spotify at some point and be like, oh, that's Against Evil, you know.
Yeah, you probably can.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely got some distinct guitar riffs in there. So great job there. So.
What I really liked about it, what stood out, one of the things that stood out to me the most was the kind of like all of the everything was, I mean, everything was up tempo and like in your face and raw and powerful, but I like the fact that there was like thrash metal, speed metal, and groove metal all in there. I mean, there was also, I mean, like you said, like Shashank and like Jason was talking about, Maiden and Priest were there. But I mean, I heard shit, I just went blank. I heard there were, oh, what the hell was that song? I'm sorry. I literally just went blank. Um, on Warriors, on the song Warriors. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Hammerfall from Sweden, but that was, to me, that was a fantastic, like, just a because it's about it's about warriors on the battlefield and all that stuff, and that's the stuff that Hammerfall sings about. But I mean, so that clicked for me there. I even heard a little bit of taste of Pantera here and there, which was fantastic because, like Jason said, you guys have your throwback influences, but everything you guys have done is perfectly suited to 2024, even with those influences of bands that have been around 40, 50 years. So you guys took something, updated it, put your own spin on it, and it just works. Because I think, Jason, what did you give the album?
4 out of 5. Yes.
I actually gave it 4.5 out of 5, and I'm not trying to one up Jason. I'm not trying to do that. But when I listened to the album, like right from the start of Give 'Em Hell, I immediately just like, oh my god, what the hell is going on here, in the best way. Because like there wasn't a single song through the entire album that I didn't, because I listen to music when I'm driving. That's when I have the most time to kind of just focus on this. There wasn't, of course, Lock and Load is an instrumental, but I mean tracks 2 through 9, there wasn't a single song that I just didn't, even when I'm driving, I wasn't bobbing my head and just kind of really just kind of in awe of like that guitar riff's awesome. That drum beat was fantastic. Even the different ways that Sravan sings, because before, of course, looks like Sravan is Sravan the lead vocalist?
We actually have two lead vocalists. We have Siri and Shavan. So we have them sharing songs. So
okay, so you guys take turns. Okay, so
yeah.
So what I like about that is there are two distinct vocal styles, and it almost seemed like excuse me, it almost seemed like the songs were written for, because, and you'll have to clarify this for me. I don't know if Siri is the clean vocalist and Sravan is a little bit more of the more aggressive and raspy vocalist, but it almost seems like whichever one of those vocal styles, it seems like the songs were almost written, and I'm talking about all the way through. I'm talking about even all the way back to the EP. It almost seems like you guys had the song written for the vocalist. Like, all right, Siri, this one's yours, and then Sravan, this one's yours. Almost, that may have been the plan, it may not have, but however you guys worked it out, every like seriously every song, because I listened to you guys' catalog all the way through this week, all the way started with against again, I started with Fatal Assault, worked my way all the way up to Give 'Em Hell, and then I worked my way back again. So I've been through the catalog backward and forwards, and that's another thing that stuck out for me is you guys have, of course, I know that now. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I thought it was your one vocalist who was doing both singing styles, but knowing what I know now, it kind of makes sense because like I said, it seemed like you guys had planned it out that way. So I don't know if that was the case or not, but it worked regardless for me fantastically.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's actually the opposite. Siri is the heavier vocalist, and Shravan's the kind of has the cleaner
Okay. Okay.
vocals. And yeah, you're pretty much right when it comes to dividing the songs. We don't split them evenly or anything like that just to make the vocalist happy or anything like that. We write the instrumental parts first, and we let the instrumentals tell us which style of vocals we should go for.
Makes sense.
For yeah, so for example, if you have a song like "Give Him Hell," which is like super in your face, we would obviously try the Siri side of vocals first. And there have been songs where we've tried both and zeroed on to one style of vocals. So we've done that too.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes total sense to me. And I love the way it turned out.
And I actually talked about
Yep.
the Warrior song, how it kind of like gave you that little bit of a break from the fast in your face stuff, but like it wasn't like slow enough to be considered like ballady or anything. It
No, it was
slowed
yeah.
it down enough to be like, okay, we'll give you a little bit of something, and then bam, right back at you. So it's like
Yeah, that song was
it's almost like a Tyson fight, and he's faking you out, and then he punches you again. It's like
yeah, it was that song for me was a little more anthemic, it was kind of
yeah,
it was like I say, it was kind of Hammerfallish to me. And to go back a little even further, and it sounded like it could have been like a Man of War song, really.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, the tempo slowed down without reducing any of the heaviness of it, and that was another thing that's kind of why that song clicked for me too. Now,
Yep, awesome. We really like our mid-tempo songs. We like the fast stuff, but we really like mid-tempo heavy metal. So
So have you guys always had that 1-2 punch from the get go, or did that something just came along like after a certain album?
sorry, I didn't get you.
So vocally, did you guys always have the 1-2 punch with those two guys, or did that come along later in just certain albums, or?
As I said, we let the songs decide for themselves. We write the instrumental first, and then we let the songs, the instrumental, uh, tell us what style of vocal should fit the song. And if it's a heavier song, we usually go towards the heavier side of vocals. But we sometimes try both styles of vocals. When we're just writing the vocal parts, we experiment with both sides of vocals. And there've been instances, as I said, where we've demoed both vocals and zero onto one on the album. So nothing is intentional. We just organically go with the flow, I guess.
I guess what I meant to say was, so you guys have always wrote for two different vocalists since the beginning.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So the thing that I noticed going all the way back was especially after the first release, the first full length, all hail the king, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from that one to End of the Line, and then from End of the Line to Give 'Em Hell, I noticed a little bit of aggression, like with vocal. Like it got a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more heavier each time. So was that an intent, or is that just because you wrote the music composition that way? It just turned out that way.
A bit of both, actually. The first thing I would say is we produce the our music ourselves. We don't work with an external producer. So we've done this ourselves. And as I said, we're from a very small city where metal or pretty much recording studios are non-existent. So we had to learn all the shit by ourselves on YouTube. So it was a production thing wherein we actually didn't know what we were doing when we were recording the EP. In terms of recording it, we were just going with the flow. Just with a few, we watched a few YouTube tutorials on how to record music, and we just went with that. But by the time we started writing the End of the Line album, we kind of learned a lot of stuff about how to record properly. So it was 50% a production call, and it was also 50% depended on the music. I mean, the music got heavier, which means the vocals had to get heavier and to match the music. So it was a bit of both.
Okay. But yeah, I did notice a bit of aggression. I was like, from that to now, it's like, yeah, I could see the heavy. It kept getting heavier and heavier, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
I get
I noticed that too.
a lot
But
of that, maybe they were still trying to find their identity or kind of what was going on there. But thank you for letting us know
It actually depends a lot on production and a producer or an engineer in the studio is actually the person who is responsible for bringing in the true potential of the musician. It plays a really important part, especially when it comes to vocals. It really depends. A really good vocalist shines when they're working with a really talented engineer or a producer, in my opinion. So that's what happened. So these guys had the aggression from 2014. It's not just that suddenly their vocals started sounding heavier in 2019 or 2020, but they had the aggression, but we didn't know how to get it out technically from a recording perspective. So that's what we had to learn, and I think we did good from End of the Line, and we perfected it in for the Give 'Em Hell album.
I know, like I'm always amazed by, and I have been this way for probably ever since I was born, of how you know people singers from different parts of the world that have accents can sing without the accent. It still just amazes me that can happen. I was just it just blows my mind that's I guess that's two different parts of the vocal cords. Like I don't know, but I don't think I could ever sing and take the southern accent out of my voice. But unfortunately, being a metalhead, I'm probably only suited to sing country. But so, uh, which is the reason I'm called the cornbread metalhead, is because of my accent.
I will say this: I definitely would have lost a bet if I would have bet that you guys recorded that yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Because I mean, you were just talking about how you guys were trying to figure stuff out as you went along. There, I would have lost that bet if someone would have told me, yeah, they just recorded that themselves. I'd been like, get the hell out of here, because I mean, you guys, I mean, you just said that you guys were trying to just figure it out. I thought it sounded fantastic. So I mean, I would have lost, definitely would have lost that bet if I would have put money on. Yeah, they went to a studio, or no, they did it themselves. I didn't hear. Of course, I guess I may just. Of course, I don't have the background, and all I know is what I hear, the final product. So yeah, I definitely. For me, there was no way to tell that you guys just did that yourselves, and you guys were going through a learning curve while you were doing it, because it just sounded stellar to me. So there was, if you guys were worried at the time about how it sounded, 10 years later, I don't think you have anything to worry about, at least as far as I'm concerned. So,
well, I mean,
thanks, man. I mean, as I said, it was the production, and we did go to professional studios to record. We didn't do everything at home, but even when we had to go to the studios, we had to work with people who had no idea how to record, this style of music, because
right.
this involves a little bit of, things have to be done in slightly different way. And we're thankful to also mixing and mastering engineer. We didn't mix this and master this ourselves. So it's shout out to Domination Studio in Italy. We found this guy, on when we did a Google search for mixing and mastering engineers for metal, and we heard some mixes, and it blew our mind. And we've been working with the same guy since 10 years. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
he
Okay.
plays a huge part in us growing our sound, and he's been pushing us from the first album. He's extremely talented. You should check out his band. It's called DGM. It's a progressive metal band from Italy. So this guy is amazing. He's like the John Petrucci of Italy,
Oh,
and
jeez.
he's been pushing us. Yeah, he's been pushing us from the first album. Like, this is what you guys got right, this is what you guys got still have to improve. We've been working on the notes given by him, and we have huge and massive respect for him, and it's been awesome. And the same goes with the artwork side of things. We've been working with the same artist since the past 10 years.
Yeah, I think I could probably tell that you guys had the same artist for the album covers, but you guys have definitely found you guys definitely have found your artist, because like the artwork, the way the font works in and everything. I mean, I definitely could see that it was the same person doing the artwork. And because we're super duper huge into the album art too, not just the musical side of it, but because it all to us it all works together, because you got Fatal Assault, Give 'Em Hell, End of the Line, All Hail the King. So I mean, the album art, the album titles, and then the way everything ties together sonically, all three have to work together. So it's not just make us an album cover and you just whatever you want to do and just see how it comes out. So everything that you guys were able to get from your artists just backed up the theme of the album and the quality of the music. So it's very well done. All of that, the fact that you found someone to do all your album covers, and the fact that you've found someone to that you've been working with on the production side of it, that has that's had to have done wonders for the chemistry, not just in the band, because you guys, I'm sure, being together since 2014, you guys already have the chemistry established of having the same 10 guys. You guys know all your tendencies, all your preferences, and all that stuff. But then to be able to have a producer to, you can learn him, he knows you guys, that's got to make everything easier.
Yeah, absolutely, man. As I said, we went into this blind back in 2014, and we found this guy, uh, and we a lot has changed based on the feedback that we got from him. He always gives us a few points. As I said, like, this is what you guys did right, this is what you guys still need to improve upon, and we made sure that we didn't make the same mistakes for the next album or the next recording. So it's been really awesome working with him. I mean, he's amazing. Do check out his band.
DGM. All right, I'm gonna do that.
Yep.
I'm gonna write that down, because yeah, we're always, I mean, hell, we're always looking. Absolutely, always looking. So yeah, thank you for that. Uh, excuse me. Because it's kind of funny that of what you guys had to go through, because the one of our last guests was actually down in Brazil, and they were in the same boat when they were looking for someone to do their production, because they're just like what you guys had come across there. No one really knew kind of how to harness the energy of the music. They knew how to record it, they knew how to produce in general, but as far as being able to translate this genre into what it needs to be, they were going through the same thing. And finally, he was just like, I got my own studio and I'm going to start doing it myself. So, Jason, I was just talking about Royal Rage, about how they were kind of going through the same thing production wise that, the guys here in Against Evil have had to go through. So yeah, he kind of had to do the same thing eventually, and he was telling us he's actually had people come to him to his studio to get produced and recorded, and he's had to be upfront with them. It's like, look, I can do this, but my specialty is heavy metal. So I mean, I can do it. if you want. So he's upfront with him about it. So he's kind of on both sides now. So it's actually worked out really well for them. So as far as the music goes, I noticed that you guys have had a couple of guests on some of your albums. Out for Blood, you guys had Billy Sheehan on bass, and on Sentenced to Death, you had Jeff Loomis appear to play guitars. What was that like for you guys?
We know a guy.
You know, you got a guy.
Yeah, but it was again not intentional. Something that worked out, and I still can't believe that we had two of our heroes, because we've Nevermore has been a huge influence on me as a guitar player, and
Yeah,
Jeff is an amazing guitar player, and same with Billy Sheehan. I grew up listening to Mr. Big, so it's an
right.
amazing band. So it was not intentional with Jeff. We shared the stage. We played, and we were the opening act for Jeff Loomis when he toured India. So it was just Jeff Loomis, just one guy playing his instrumental solo stuff, and we were just the opening band. And the promoter introduced us to him, and we gave him a copy of our album, Fatal Assault. And he said he watched a couple of our music videos on YouTube, and he said he liked it a lot. So when we were doing the album, Sentenced to Death, actually, if you Notice is actually the heaviest song on that album. It's mostly a traditional metal album, but it's just the Sentence to That song, which is on the more thrashier side of things. So we were like, let's give this a shot. We had no idea how this would go, and we contacted the promoter and asked him if Jeff would be interested to do a guitar solo, and he said yes. He asked us to send the song. We did, and he said he liked it, and the rest is history. Same with Billy. It was kind of crazy how it all happened. But yeah, drummer got in touch with him somehow, and he just sent him a couple of our songs. He liked it a lot. And this is a huge thanks to the COVID lockdown, I guess, because these bigger bands were not touring at that time. But yeah, he was extremely kind enough to listen to our songs and say that he really liked it a lot. But at that time, we had no idea, because the entire album was written, and uh, for some reason we had to pick. We had no idea that it would be Out for Blood, that we will have Billy Sheehan play bass on. So it was we were going through all the songs, and we were like, should we give him this song? Should we give him this song? Because this happened in the last minute. We kind of asked, would you be interested to play, because you're one of our heroes, and he said, "Yeah, sure. Send me a song. I'll check it out." But I guess Out for Blood, once again, just like how the Sentence to Death song was a thrashier kind of song, which fits the playing style of Jeff Loomis. We thought that Out for Blood was kind of an '80s throwback, hard rock ish kind of a song, which would suit Billy's playing. We sent it to him. He said he liked it a lot, and he sent it to us. So yeah, still can't believe this happened.
So when you say you got a guy, they didn't like bring Billy Sheehan in a potato sack and undo him. And he's like, man, I haven't seen daylight in 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how these big artists are so down to earth and responsive, because they've probably got thousands or hundreds of people reaching out to them, sending messages on social media. So it's kind of crazy how they actually read those messages and to respond as much as possible. So it's amazing.
I think Matt Heafy from Trivium just says yes to everything. So.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does.
He's on so much stuff as and Lizzie Hale too from Hellstorm. She's on like so much stuff too. It's just like crazy. I'm just like, damn, these people just like, yeah, whatever, just send it to me, or but it's pretty cool. Billy Sheehan is like one of my favorite bassists. Like, for even from when I was a younger kid, I was a bass player in a band when I was 15, which, I got one now that I just bought, trying to pick it back up, but I ain't really had a chance to do much with it yet. I'm still still trying to like.
Well, that's not. That's not true. I've seen you pick it up. You can pick it up.
I picked it up and moved it from one corner to another.
So I have seen you pick it up. You are capable.
I have like messed a little bit, but not like I'd like to. But
well, sure.
I think Martin Motnick from Accept kind of talked me into that when we interviewed him on the show. He was kind of like, yeah, man, it ain't never too late. Grab go get you one. So
Well, that is true.
I talked the wife into doing it. She's like, okay. It was like my birthday present last year. So
Well, hell, your birthday's your birthday this year is coming up in like 2 weeks.
I played it like 4 times in a year, so I'm doing good. But yeah. Okay, so you kind of brought up something I was going to ask anyways. So how did the COVID lockdown kind of affect you guys' music? Did it affect you at all, or I guess I should say, how did it affect the country in general too? Because I know we've heard, we've kind of brought that up with different people from different parts of the world, and I'm always intrigued on how each country kind of handled it. So
yeah.
It was bad. I mean, if you're just looking at it from a country perspective, it was really bad. It was bad for us. A lot of our family, they got really sick in hospitals for weeks and weeks. Yeah, it was bad. You know, but musically, it did affect us a lot because the first European tour that we did was in 2019, and we just got back and COVID started. But we had plans to tour again in 2020, 2021. We had shows and festivals, all these things booked. So it killed the momentum, I'd say, because for us, a very small band like us, it's really important to go and play every year. Otherwise, people would just forget because if you look at the European market, they're like thousands of metal bands there from all over the country going there during the summer season to find a slot in a festival or to play at any club. So we did really good in 2019. Once again, I'm not sure if you guys heard of this, but our 2019 tour was entirely crowdfunded by Facebook group, believe it or not, based out of Germany. So we have, like, shout out to those guys. It wouldn't have been possible without their support. So it was amazing, to do that. We played a few festivals in 2019 too. We actually shared the stage with Queensryche Riot, which is a heavy metal band from the US, and a couple of other awesome bands. And to build that momentum and to not be able to tour for another 3 years was a big killer for us, for especially a very smaller band for us. So like us, so we had to start from scratch in 2023. So the tour last year was really, really good, but it wasn't 2019 good. So we are once again starting from scratch, trying to build that momentum. So these tours, the upcoming one that starts the end of this month, is really, really important for us. So it's really important. So I'd say it killed momentum. It's not just for us, but for other very small bands like us. So we released music, so it was fine, but it did affect us a lot in terms of live playing and touring.
So would you say the cost of touring now is like way more than it was before COVID?
It is. It is.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was like that for every country or if it was just, our stupid ass government trying to, pick us for every penny that we got. But, so, but
Right. Well, no, that's a good question.
yeah, but seeing that, but I mean, I guess like, and it's crazy because the U.S. is kind of being dependent on for a lot of things. So I'm sure like imports and exports, what you import, export in between the U.S. has probably gotten more expensive because of everything being more expensive because of the economy right now is just stupid. But that's kind of what I was kind of curious about. Like I know a lot of bands too have had problems logistically too with like getting tour buses or anything like that. But it's because a lot of the from what I understand, a lot of the tour bus places over in Europe, defunct because of COVID. So now you've got less tour bus companies. So they're getting booked up faster. So if you want to go do a tour, you can't get anything because everything's booked. So
Yeah.
it becomes a problem.
Airlines, air tickets got really expensive, and tour buses and fuel. So it all adds up. So what we now pay for flights to Europe is like significantly more expensive than what we paid in 2019. So that it all adds up, and air travel is the biggest cost that a band has when they're touring. So
I think
it's not easy.
You know what's crazy is I looked this up a while back because we're planning our anniversary trip here in a couple of years, um, and we were talking about where to go. So I could go to Ireland for about $100 to $200 more than flying to Hawaii, which is still in the United States, which is so stupid. I'm just like, how can I fly across to another country, for a couple $100 more than I could fly to another state within the U.S. That's just crazy to me. Uh, but yeah, I totally get that. Like, we just, if I had to pay for the flight or something that I'm going on in September, for work, I would be like, no, man, I can't go because I can't afford to do that. So, um, and it's just, from Tennessee to Maryland, that's not a real big deal. But if you're talking about like a $700 flight, that probably should be, $300 tops. It's just like, wow, this is crazy. But I mean, like you said, airlines, they use fuel, and fuel's, stupid expensive here right now. So,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
I mean, so I just like to put it into perspective when people see this, is that it's not just in the U.S. We've heard logistic issues from other bands already in Europe. So that's why I ask you, so everybody would know that it's pretty much hitting everybody hard. So
Yeah, it is, and a lot of clubs have also shut down because of COVID. That's a big bummer, and that's also a big killer for small bands like us, because when we tour, there are a few festival dates, but the majority of shows that smaller bands play are the clubs. And that has really impacted the touring lives of smaller metal bands. So it's not easy. It's really hard, and the clubs and the festivals nowadays, not blaming them because they're all trying to get their money back and to get back on track. But since after COVID, I've seen most of the festivals and clubs giving preference to the bigger bands, because those are the bands that will sell tickets. It makes sense for them to do that. So that's also another reason why smaller bands have taken a bigger hit.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I finally figured out, like, the band I was thinking of earlier. They're out of Bangalore, and I did a review on their album back at the beginning of July, so just about a month ago. Cryptos, and so I did the album review for their album Decimator, and I also did, going back to last year. There's another band out of, if I'm pronouncing it right, out of Pune, Kill the King. So I did a review on their album last year, and both super duper well done thrash metal albums. Uh, so yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with either of those acts, because like I say, I know India is a big country, but what and you can clarify this for me or not, but it the bands that I have heard, Kill the King, Cryptos, you guys, it seems to be that a lot of the music that comes out of India is thrash metal. Now, not that I have a problem with that, because that's my favorite genre of metal anyway. So I definitely don't have a problem with that. Is that something that you seem to notice, that being the predominant genre?
Not really. I'd say the predominant genre in India is mostly extreme metal. From what I know, there are like a lot of extreme metal bands here, compared to traditional heavy metal or thrash. So yeah, both the bands that you mentioned are fall into the thrash side of things, but I'd say it's mostly extreme metal dominated.
Okay.
Most of the bands from India are extreme metal.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, like I said, there's definitely nothing wrong with that either. But I'm kind of going through the list, because like I say, I was right there on the tip of my tongue, and I couldn't remember it. So I finally went back, and I looked through my list, and I finally found Cryptos, and then I was reminded of Kill the King, but they were actually back in 2023. So I do know,
Yeah,
and
Cryptos is actually, we know the guys, and they've been doing this for a long time now. And I guess they've recently celebrated their 20th anniversary, if I'm not wrong. So they've been at it for a long time, and they're also one of the few bands that have gone to the European market, and they've actually paved the way for the other bands to follow. And then I'd say they're the flag bearers of the heavy metal in India. They're amazing bunch of guys. I know them and they've helped us out on a lot of things. We've played together a couple of times. So yeah, amazing band, great music, and they've
Nice.
just been at it, man. I guess consistently been doing this for 20 years, putting out back to back amazing albums. So it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
not really easy, but yeah. So they're a huge inspiration for not just us, but for all metalheads and metal bands in India.
Yeah, well, their new album was very well done. Looking, let's see, let's see, what did I give it? I gave it 3.5 out of 5. So it was really well done too. And yeah, like you said, their debut album came out in 2004. So yeah, their 20th anniversary, as far as their music goes, was this year. So according to this anyway, they've been around since 96, but from 96 to 98 they were a different band name, and they've been Cryptos since 1998. So yeah, they've been around for a while.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then Kill the King has only been around since 2016. They've only put out one album, and it was their album last year. So but still, it was a good album too. I'd have to look back at my notes from 2023, but I'm sure I gave it probably 3.5 or 4 if I remember correctly. But I've done so many, I wouldn't be able to know right off the top of my head without looking back at my notes. So
So I know you guys said it's one of our go-to questions. You guys have done a little touring. So is anything that's memorable, whether it be something crazy happened or something just kind of stuck with you on any of the tours that you guys have done?
Uh, yeah, a little bit of crazy everywhere, but I guess the moment for us was what we'll never forget was our first open air festival that we did. It's called Two Rock Open Air. It's a kind of a smaller festival in Germany, and it's a really popular festival. So this is where we played on the same day where Queensryche and Riot Five, all the Skeletal Remains and all these bands played. So we've never played an open air festival before. It was actually our first, and the moment we there were a few bands playing before us, and we kind of were peeping into the crowd just to see how many people were there. And there were a lot of people there, but they were kind of scattered, and a lot of people were drinking beer, in certain places. But so we thought, okay, let's not get too anxious about this, because we were shitting our pants out, to be honest. But the exact moment when we were about to go on stage, I just took a peek, and it was packed. So all these people, all these scattered bunch of people, they all came together, and it was a scary moment. But once we got on stage, I guess we took that energy and we just went. It was one of the most amazing shows that we played. So I guess that is a moment for us to remember.
I know, like, one of the things I noticed, I just went to a show last, I guess was it Thursday, Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I went to a show here in Michigan, not here, but in the states in Michigan. But I know it's like the bands, like both bands, were on stage wearing sunglasses, and I kept thinking it's kind of odd for bands to be wearing sunglasses indoors like that. But then I got to think, I was like, it's probably from the lights, you know, strobing them and hitting them in the face. And I was like, because once I seen like it a few times, I said, well, that kind of makes sense now since I see that. But it never like occurred to me before. As many times as I've been to shows, that's probably why they're wearing sunglasses indoors. But
Or they're just trying to look cool, which is
well, I mean,
nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that too.
well,
no,
well, this band's been around since like '83, so they're probably hiding their wrinkles at this point.
probably.
Oh man. But
Yeah, probably.
I kind of noticed little stuff, like, because I know, like, I've been in front of an audience of a couple thousand people, and like when I walk through a curtain and see that, it's like so intimidating. But like once I got into the stage of where I was performing, like the lights would hit me and I couldn't see past like a couple rows. So it's kind of like, I guess it kind of like gives you a different feeling that it's like, okay, well, I know there's 2,000 people here, but I can't see them, so screw it, you know. So, like, so I didn't know if it was kind of like that. I know like outside you can pretty much see everybody, so I didn't know how it was like indoors. I don't know, because I know a lot of the bands, like especially singers, that do this, like they're looking like they can't see like past a certain point. Uh,
It depends on the venue, I guess. Some places the lights can get a little crazy and literally in your face. But yeah, it depends on the venue. It really depends on the person doing the lights. It's really important for them not to really blind the band on stage, because uh, you know people just shredding on guitars, not looking at them. This only happens on music videos, but in real life when we're playing real shows, we just have to sometimes look at it.
It's like he's in a window with the sun and doing a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
That's like, uh, that's, uh, but so what is? I know you said you played with Queensryche. So how was that? Did you get to meet those guys at all? Or
Yeah, I met the vocalist. Queensryche, it was a 2-day festival, this one, and the day we were playing, Queensryche was the headliner, and there were also other bands on the bill, like Riot. I'm sure you've heard of them, right?
oh yeah,
Riot
Right. Yeah.
5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so awesome dudes. They, we met the entire band. Really, really amazing guys. Great music, and we've also met some, Skeletal Remains, which is also from the US, if I'm not wrong, right? California, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, I know them too.
Uh, yeah, but Queensryche, we just met the vocalist,
Oh,
and yeah, couldn't meet the other guys. But we also saw Queensryche a few days before in a smaller club, in Germany, and I got myself a guitar pick. So happy.
Ah,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
That's right up Chris's alley. He's got a bunch.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is.
He tends to get a little bit more up front than I do.
Yeah, if I can, if I can,
Yeah,
still try to still try to hang on to a little bit of my youth. I don't get into the mosh pits because my back won't let me, but I try to get up as close to the rail whenever I can. If I'm in in a general admission kind of like a club concert, I try to get as close as I can still. So
I'm gonna, I'm
still
gonna,
still healthy enough to do that, but
I'm gonna face my claustrophobic fears one of these days and join you up there. But I don't know. I feel like if I get up there and I can't get out, I'm gonna like snap or some shit. I gotta get there. I gotta get away.
well, I mean,
I'm sure plenty of people would take my spot. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, well, I mean that's the thing is, I mean, if you have a moment, just hop into the mosh pit and just elbow your way out.
You'll be safe at one of our shows because there's no moshing. There's no moshing going around, so you'll be safe. So feel free to come to our shows. There's no moshing, so your back will be fine.
Oh wow.
There is it not allowed, or is it just something that's not done in India?
Uh, no, moshing happens, but
Oh, okay.
for mostly for the extreme metal bands. I guess I haven't seen any band moshing for traditional heavy metal band, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Definitely didn't happen to us. I mean, there's a lot of head banging and a lot of crazy shit, and a lot of crowd surfing going around, but I
Okay,
haven't seen a lot of like the traditional mosh pit going on for a heavy metal band.
Oh, okay.
So what are you saying? He's never been on tour with Death Angel. So
No. Yeah, no, because Mark will not let a pit happen. So
Mark's not. Where's
yeah,
my pit?
yeah, no, he will not let a pit go uncircled.
We were actually at a venue and saw Death Angel. They were opening for Testament and Exodus, and we were at the show, and they had a sign out front saying no moshing or circle pits. Like, and I was like, and we read that. We walked in and read that. And I was like, man, do they know what kind of show they're like putting on?
Yeah.
People not to do that, like. And so it was cool. Like nobody was doing anything for a couple of songs, and then the lead singer Mark Osegueda from Death Angel was just like, "Hey guys, what are you doing? Where's my fucking circle pit?" And I told Chris, I said, "Look at the security guard." The security guard was just like, "Oh." It was so,
that was all it took.
that's all it took. Yeah. So
That was all it took.
after that, they were like moshing to what was it, bad Leroy Brown and shit. That was
That was between sets, but yeah, that was funny as hell. So
that was funny.
yeah, so but it was all it took. Where's my circle pit? And there's a circle pit right there. So yeah, that's all it took.
That's what you got to get your vocals to bring them on, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think if you wouldn't have to do much here if you ever toured the States. They would be circle pit. I promise.
Even for traditional heavy metal. I mean, they get into it no matter what genre. I mean, it just not to say that there aren't, not to say, like, because you said like they get up for the extreme metal. So that's why I asked the question when you said that there wasn't any moshing, because it's like because I've never been over that side of the world, because I just wondered if it was like a cultural thing, but I mean, because I have no idea. So it just seemed a little strange, because everywhere I've gone and all of even the videos I've seen of European tours or South American tours or whatever, or even in, even bands getting over to Japan. I mean, it just, everyone gets into it, and it's just almost kind of like it just evolves organically, and before you know it, you got hundreds of people just going in a circle. So
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but it happens a lot often for the extreme style of music, because that's what gets the energy for the moshing. But people react to traditional heavy metal in a different way. It's still a lot of energy, but it's mostly fists in the air and a lot of head banging, and so it's a bit different. But there is a lot of moshing happening for this style of music as well. Thrash for sure, but for traditional heavy metal, not as much, but it does happen. But definitely not as much as the extreme side of things. But let's say a band like Lamb of God, that's the kind of music people can really mosh to, or Pantera, or comparatively, if you put Iron Maiden playing on stage, you can mosh that music, no doubt about it. But people react to Iron Maiden a bit differently than they react to bands like Pantera or Lamb of God. That's what I mean.
Well, that's because
that makes sense. Yeah,
that's because the fans are spending more time trying to keep up where Bruce is at.
It's
like, damn, dude, still. It's like, Jesus, you're 65. Like
pushing 70. He's still a madman.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was telling my wife that the other night, and she says, "Oh, he don't move, because we went and seen Lamb of God too last weekend. Like she was just talking about Randy. Randy's 50 something. From Lamb of God, and she was just like, dude, what does he do? Like he just do cardio and stuff all the time. Like he's just like all over the place. Like I said, well, he doesn't do drinking or drugs, so we do know that. So I don't know what he's doing, but he must be doing a lot of 5-hour energies or something. He's definitely.
I was watching a few YouTube videos of the recent AC/DC tour. It's amazing, man. It's unbelievable how Angus Young is still able to do that. He's jumping around, running around stage, and he isn't missing a single note. So it's amazing. So I guess these guys are just built for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's wild to me, because I was telling her, like, I mean, wait till you see Iron Maiden, and she goes, "Oh no, he don't do that." So, oh no, he's worse. Like, I mean, he's way worse than Randy. You're never going to keep up with Bruce. I mean, Bruce is going to be, you ain't got to worry about trying to film nothing there, because you're not going to get much except a streak going back and forth to stage.
Yeah.
So. And this kind of, I don't know why I just thought of this question as many times when we've talked to bands that have toured different parts of the world, but it kind of like this question kind of hit me. It's like, so if you guys like, seeing that you toured Europe and, you toured India, so is there like any kind of like rules that kind of came up that you've seen and you just kind of like had to remind yourself not to do, to, culturally in other parts of the world, or?
Not really. In India, I mean, we don't have any restrictions. If it's a metal show, it's all out metal. There are no restrictions. I mean, when it comes to India, and definitely there are none when we were touring in Europe, because that's like the heavy metal capital.
Exactly.
So no rules, no cultural things. I mean, if it's heavy metal, I mean, if we would do this in a public space, if we play this music to a public audience, in a wider public audience in India, they would definitely think that they're crazy or something because they won't get this type of music. But in a closed club or in a closed environment where it's just metalheads, there are no restrictions, there are no rules.
That's good. But so that makes me wonder now if there's something that goes on outside of a metal show and somebody does something and then we're like, well, hell, y'all let the metalheads do it. It's like,
It's a good question.
but man, I was seriously wondering about it because I remember a friend of mine. He was having to go to he does a lot of mission work, and he was talking about I think it was the Philippines he was going to at the time. I could be wrong, but I remember him saying something to me about. He said, "I got to remember, like one of the main rules there is you can't spit on the sidewalks." And I'm just like, "Oh," I said, "I've never heard that before." He's like, "Yeah, that's like one of the main things they told me." He said, "Make sure you do not spit on the sidewalk. They will cane you. Like the police will come up and like cane you if they get spitting on the sidewalk." I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, and I'm guessing because maybe they don't have like the counteractions of for diseases and stuff like we do. Maybe I mean that's the only thing I can think of that why they would do that. But
I think that I think they're just trying to keep the streets clean.
well, I mean that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's it's
they
gross.
They need to practice out here in Hollywood. So, I mean,
Well, that's true. That's another definitely another story, but
yeah.
it's true.
I mean, that's why I was curious because I remember hearing stories of going to other countries with friends of mine, and they were saying, "Oh, I got to remember not to do this because that's kind of common here. People just go around just spit, spit gum or whatever. You can't spit anything." Like,
Well, I mean it's not. I mean it's not a bad rule, but I mean
but I mean, like I said, if you're accustomed to doing things and not being scolded for it, and then you go over there and all of a sudden you get hit in the back with a kendo stick.
right.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be different for me, but
Yeah, you're used to that.
some people it might be a culture shock to get smacked with something like wow, what the hell. But yeah, and I've never been to other countries, so I don't know any of the rules in some of those places. So.
Yeah, it'd definitely be one of those things you would have to kind of do some research on before you went.
I know the only rule that we're going to Ireland in 2 years. I think the only rule is you have to drink a 12 pack. That's the only rule they have. So I mean,
I think so.
I don't know if that's a rule or not, but I imagine you go to a pub there, you're probably not you're probably going to stagger out. So
yeah, you might be right.
I'm pretty sure the alcohol content there is like way more than here. So
yeah,
we water our down stuff a lot. So.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
So anyways, I was want to ask too, is there like are you guys on like a Bandcamp or anything like that with your music as well, or DistroKid or anything like that?
Yeah, we are on Bandcamp. That's actually the only site that we push on on social media because just like how you guys talked about Spotify, and it's absolutely ridiculous payouts to artists. It's the necessary evil, I guess, nowadays. Our music is there on Spotify for people who want to listen to it on Spotify, but we don't promote the Spotify links or the Apple Music links anywhere. So it's just us pushing Bandcamp, and huge shout out to everybody who's bought an album, a copy of our album on Bandcamp, supported us on Bandcamp. That you guys are the reason we're still existing. Bandcamp is that huge for us. I mean, that's pretty much the reason why we're still going strong. So yeah, we are on Bandcamp. Do check us out.
Cool. Is there like a way to get hard copies of any of the albums or?
Yes, we ship hard copies of the album worldwide. So it's the EP and the All Hail the King album. These are sold out because we do the albums in a very limited in quantity. But we still have the End of the Line and the Give 'Em Hell albums that are shipping worldwide. We also have a record label for those of you living in Europe. It's called Doggator Records. So if anyone within the European Union wants to buy a copy of our album, you can get it from Doggator Records. They also release the album on vinyl.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask about that because I was going through and looking at all the albums. I was noticing you've got Fatal Assault, Give 'Em Hell, and the End of the Line LPs were all 300 copies, and then well, I'm sorry. The Fatal Assault is actually the EP, but you did 300 copies on everything except for All Hail the King, where you only did 150. So I was wondering if there was some other other medium that you could get them for. So it is good to know that there's actually vinyl out there too, because that's making a huge comeback. So it's good that they can actually that's there. Speaking of your label, because you guys were independent on All Hail the King. How has how has the how has the label treated you guys as far as the last two albums go? Treating you well?
Yeah, man, it's not a traditional label. It's just a bunch of guys, really passionate metalheads trying to promote smaller independent bands. It's been an amazing ride because they've played a huge part in us going into the European market and playing shows. So they contacted us when we released the All Hail the King album. They sent us an email and said, "Hey, we heard your album and we'd like to release it." Uh, Within the European Union, we'd like to do a vinyl release, and we were like, "Hell yeah!" And we started working. And the owner of the label is actually our tour manager and also does booking for the band. So he's like the fifth member of the band. So
Oh,
we couldn't
nice.
have done
Okay. All
yeah, we
right.
couldn't have done any of this without him. So yeah, I'm really really glad we found these guys, or they found us and found each other. But yeah, it's been an amazing ride. They've been supporting us from the All Hail the King album up until right now, given hell. So no regrets, absolutely no complaints. They are amazing, and they've also put out a lot of other killer releases, which a lot of people wouldn't be aware of if they weren't picked up. So a lot of awesome bands. Do check out their catalog. It's really amazing. They've got releases from all over the world, actually. So some really awesome bands that they're releasing on vinyl and cassettes and CDs, and it's amazing. It's a really great label. As I said, it's not a huge company or anything like that. It's just four to five passionate metalheads who also have full time jobs. They're just doing this out of interest for heavy metal.
Same thing we're doing. So
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm actually starting to think that these smaller, more focused labels are actually the way to go.
Yeah.
I think some of these big labels, I think they just got too big, because we've got another band that's a friend of ours, and they're on a label here in the United States called Affiant Records, and they've had nothing but praise for their record label, because the same thing as you, Shashank. They're just talking about how the people that they're working with, they don't have a shit ton of bands that they're working with, but the bands that they're working with, they're very passionate about. We actually follow the band and the label on TikTok, and they are constantly pushing all of their bands. They're huge on social media, and they really just, they're focused, and they seem to give a shit, which I think a lot of those labels, I think they just kind of got away from that, just due to the volume of clients they had. So I think I'm starting to think like these smaller labels who are able to just focus, dedicate the time to their clients, and actually just really really care is the way to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
The bigger ones kind of went quantity over quality. So
Right.
And some bands get lost in that shuffle when you do that. So
Right. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
most labels have this. Not really sure, but they have this new album every 2 years kind of a deal with bands. It makes sense because they do this thinking in terms of a business perspective, but it doesn't really work out that way. You can't really put a timer to writing music. It happens when it happens, and it takes 3 years or it takes 5 years, but it happens. It takes that long for a reason. But I guess most of these bigger labels, they want releases to happen every 2 years or every 3 years. So I guess that is a little concerning because it's the music doesn't come out organically. Sometimes it comes out forced.
Yeah, and then the quality suffers because everyone's just rushing to get music out, and then like the quality suffers and all that stuff, and that's not good for anybody. It's not even good for the label.
I think
Yeah,
that
exactly. And
to me, if
Yeah,
I'm
and most of the bands that a lot of bands that I've seen do not even have labels. Some really popular bands, Haunt from the US, a traditional heavy metal band. So they don't have a label. If correct me if I'm wrong, but they just got really really popular from putting their releases out on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Similarly, there are so many other bands, that do not have like a label backing them. Thanks to modern technology and the internet, you don't need a label anymore to, put your releases out because the way we are doing this, we ship we make the CDs, here in India and we ship them worldwide. So you can do that from any part of the world. So technically, you don't need a label to put your releases out. So there are a lot of bands that don't have a label, a lot of amazing bands that do not rely on any label. Yeah, sorry to cut you off there.
no, you're fine. Yeah, one of my favorite bands, actually, Nonpoint, they actually created their own label. They just
Yeah.
decided to go their own route. So, um,
Yeah, we've slowly,
they don't
we have,
on it, but it's like,
yeah,
it's like
we have,
they're in control of their own stuff. So,
yeah, we have slowly started to see that happen more and more. Some of these people are just striking out on their own, doing it all on their own, and they're in the case of Nonpoint, they with their own label, they've got their, I'm sure they have their own clients too, on top of worrying about themselves too. So it's bands helping bands, which is never going to be a bad thing ever. Bands helping bands. So
Exactly. Yeah.
and I think like if I'm doing a label, I would have like maybe a couple of well known bands just so I can get people attracted to the label, and then you could have your younger up and coming metal bands that are
yeah.
going to be there with you for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? So
See, that'd be the great way to do it. Build a family and just a family of bands, something that can, endure.
and I don't say that lightly. I mean 20 years because you're going to be helping promote them for 20 years. So, I mean, because that's going to be your bread and butter to make a living for yourself, is to make sure those guys are putting out quality music and doing their thing. So,
Right.
because without they don't make money, you don't make money. So, if they're not
Exactly.
recording, you make anything. So it's kind of like crazy to think of how greedy some of that stuff has become. But
Yeah, I think the symbiosis kind of got lost in it because it really
I mean, with any business, really. I mean,
well, no, I mean that is true, but I do think a lot of those big labels, they just kind of lost their way, and you have to, like you said, you do have to help the bands make money to
right.
keep you afloat. If you don't, they won't, and then you can't. So I mean, it's a delicate balance, and I just think a lot of those big labels, they just lost their way, and they paid for it, literally.
Yeah. So there's one thing we haven't talked about yet. So I'm going to share my screen here because this is something that we like to talk about. So who kind of came up with the design for the logo there?
Yeah, you mean the Against Evil logo?
Right.
Yeah, the font that you guys use.
It was kind of all of us involved in this, and the first thing that we didn't want to do is, we were making traditional heavy metal music, but we didn't want to go the traditional heavy metal route when it comes to doing the logo. So we didn't want a medieval looking logo, if you get what I'm trying to say. So we wanted something to be a bit more modern, sharp edges, and we worked with our artist, the same guy we still are working with. So we just gave him a bunch of ideas. He put a few designs together, and one of the references that we gave him was the video game from Street Fighter. I really like the logo of. If you can connect the dots, you can see a little bit of a similarity there. So it's one of those things. So it just happened, and we really like it. I hope you guys do too.
Yeah, it's cool. That's why we like to bring it up, because we're kind of interested in who kind of come up with them. So
we like to give shout outs for everything, not just the music.
Exactly.
I mean, because like you were talking about, Shashank, you've been working with the same producer, and we we did talk about this we did talk about this briefly while you were gone a little bit, Jason. We brought it up. I mean, we didn't go into it in great detail, but I mean, everyone that's involved, I mean, deserves the credit. The people who play the music, the people who record the music, the people who make the album art, the people who design. Everyone deserves a shout out. So we like to talk about all of it because everyone deserves the credit. So.
And
Absolutely, man. I guess everything combined makes an album. It's not just the band, making the music. It's the art. Because I guess if people are shopping for an album in a record store, it's the album artwork is the first thing that they see
That's
when they're
right.
picking up an album that they don't know. So, our artwork plays a really really important part.
So who did the artwork for this album cover right here?
It's an artist based out of Croatia. His handle is called All Things Rotten. Please do check out his Instagram and his page. So we've been working with the guy from 2014. So he's done all our covers, everything since then. So it was a bit of a crazy idea because we really like comic books and we like heavy metal. So we wanted the cover to be a combination of both. And something you guys must have noticed since our first EP is that we are on the cover of every album, the four of us. So it was like us thinking we don't have a cool mascot like Eddie or Vic Rattlehead, so let's be our own mascots. So that was kind of what we were thinking. So we just tried something on the first EP, Fatal Assault. It was us fighting some zombies. So it was all El the King. We repeated that, and it just became a thing. So with this cover, it was us turning up the craziness. So we wanted it to be heavy metal in a comic book. So no real reason we when we thought of the idea, when we were putting the ideas together to do the cover, we didn't have the name of the album or the name of any of the songs. So I guess it worked out because Give 'Em Hell, if you look at the artwork, I guess it pretty much fits, right? Because when we did the cover, we had no title in mind, but yeah, I guess it all fits now.
Yeah, absolutely fits. Yeah. It's got to be kind of cool it's got to be cool. I would like it. I would like to if I saw myself on an album cover. So that's kind of be kind of neat. You don't like you said, you don't have a mascot, but if you guys decided to be your own, that's still got to be kind of neat because I think it would be cool as hell. You guys found your thing. It's kind of like a different thing than everybody else. You got Eddie and you got Vic Rattlehead. Well, you know what? We're gonna be on every album cover, and that's what we're gonna do. I think it would be cool as hell to see myself on an album cover.
Chris, you would think it was cool, but you wouldn't be Blackie Lawless cool. So.
Well, no, I mean, of course not. I wouldn't be able to hold a candle to Blackie Lawless.
I think that's like one of the things, like all the band members just like, well, he's on the damn dude on the cover. Like, what the So as long as you guys stick to everybody on the cover, I think.
Yeah. And I like it because the funny thing is what I like about it is as you guys move on in making albums, you guys can kind of, because what I like about it, Fatal Assault, you guys are kind of right up front, beating the shit out of all the zombies, and then All Hail the King, you guys are on the horses there in front of the knight right there in the middle, and end of the line, you guys are all in the electric chair, which is kind of dark, but it's kind of nice. And then on Give 'Em Hell, you guys are in the background on the stage there. The cool thing is as you go, you guys can all still be on the cover, but you guys can be like, all right, can you pick out all four guys?
Where's Against Evil?
Yeah, you guys can start hiding on the album covers. That's one of the things everyone's got to find you guys.
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, as you said, on Fatal Assault, we were right there up front. In All Hail the King, a little bit back again, and at the end of the line, it was just us. This time, it was a conscious decision. I guess we wanted the art to be on the forefront, and we just wanted to take a back seat, and we just want to be a part of the cover, not just us be the cover. We just want to be a part of the artwork.
Yeah,
it's just cool. It's a cool concept, though. I like it.
I do. I like it. So is that on? Okay, well, on the Give 'Em Hell cover, I'm assuming that's you zapping the alien hopping up on stage.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice.
Get out.
Yeah. It's like, Mr. Jackson, not today.
Hey,
Oh,
so before we close this out, Shane's sake, we want to give you a chance to just let everybody know where they can find you guys. Like so, we kind of talked about Bandcamp already, but any other socials you want to put out there, or shows, anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, absolutely. Do follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We post there pretty frequently. Againstable.india is where you'll find us on Instagram and Facebook. Bandcamp, if you're looking for a music, we have physical copies of both our recent albums available there. We ship worldwide. So if you're looking to just listen to our music, or if you want to buy some stuff to support us, Bandcamp is where you would go. We have a YouTube channel. Once again, againstable.india is where you'll find us. So all the music videos are there. We've put out a bunch of them recently from the new album. If you're in Europe, do check out the Dictator Records store, because that's the best place for you and to buy it. And you'll also be able to own a vinyl if you're into that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you're in Europe, once again, if any of the guys watching this, if you're anywhere within Germany, Switzerland, or Austria, or anywhere nearby, do catch us on tour. We will be starting the tour from the end of August, and we'll be going at it till about 15th to 16th September. So all the tour dates, it's called Give 'em Hell Tour, and we've got all the dates on our socials. So yeah, look forward to
and
seeing any of you here over there.
and we will actually take those tour dates and we will actually share those on our social media as well. We do that. We try to do that the best we can for the bands who come on and spend their time. So we will definitely make sure that we get those tour dates out.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We do birthday shout outs. So anytime y'all put happy birthday to a band member, we'll make sure we
Yep.
too. So
Yes, we do.
Nice.
So is there any merch available, or is that just at shows?
Uh, we did a shirt. It's temporarily sold out on Bandcamp, but it's going to be back up in stock real soon.
Nice. Okay.
It's based off one of the songs from the new album called Killing Machine. So it's a cool artwork, and it's a shirt based out of that song. So it's temporarily out of stock. We're just trying to get some stock back from the factory. So yeah, the shirts will go back live soon on Bandcamp.
Hey, out of stock is not a bad thing. So.
No, it isn't. No, it is
No,
not.
we play it safe, because we're a smaller band, so we work with limited quantities. But yeah, really overwhelmed with the support that we got from the guys from Bandcamp and all our supporters from Bandcamp. So they always surprise us and amaze us with their support with every album. So yeah, thanks to them.
That's awesome. That's all. Like I said, I'm down with anybody that's willing to help promote. So.
Oh, absolutely.
It's definitely like I said, if it wasn't for us doing what we do, we'd probably never even heard of you guys, which is kind of sad. But
yeah, it is. But that also the reason why we started the podcast. That way we could discover new music that needs to be discovered, and we do the best we can to try to introduce bands like you guys to the world, because you guys deserve it.
We share it with our
Thanks
fans.
a lot, man. Like, yeah, thank you so much, man. Really, thanks a lot for taking the time to do this. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been awesome talking to you guys. I didn't even realize that we're on for almost 2 hours now, but yeah, it really doesn't
Almost.
feel like it, because yeah, it just feels like I'm just talking to two close friends of mine, two close metalhead friends of mine. So it's been awesome.
Yep.
That really makes us feel good too, because
It does.
that's kind of what we shoot for. We try not to be
Overbearing.
I mean, like I said, we could be on here and ask the same questions over and over and over, but we kind of let everything happen organically. And
Yep.
we kind of we'll bring the topics up, but then just kind of let them flow. We don't have like a format we really go by. There's like a couple of questions we always try to ask bands, because it every band's going to have a different crazy story. So that's always the thing that we like to hear. We've heard some doozies too. It's pretty cool, some of those stuff that we've actually heard. But
right.
yeah, and it hasn't all been like wild. It's been like you said, it was an honor to play with some of the people you played with. That the guest that's come on your albums was pretty awesome. I mean, that's and I think the thing is you're being able to rub elbows with some guys that would be like, hey, have you heard this band from Indy? You know what I mean? That's how you're gonna get your name out there to tour the world like they do. So, and hopefully one day, you're in the States and you see me and Chris in the front row. So,
yes.
Awesome. We really can't wait for that. I really hope that works out one day because we've been getting a lot of people sending us messages from the US asking us to play there, and it's on our radar. Trust me, we're really trying to find the right connect to do this and the right time to do this. But we'd love to, man, because we've got a lot of friends and family living in the US. It'd be really awesome to meet and meet them all and play our songs there. And there are also a couple of bands that we know personally. I'm not sure if you've heard of the band Glacier, a heavy metal band from the US. So real awesome guys, and they actually have a record label, a real small record label themselves. It's called Scorpion Metal Records. They've actually distributed our End of the Line album in the US. So I'm sorry I forgot to mention this, but if you're in the US looking to buy a physical copy of End of the Line, you can get it from the Scorpion Metal Records Bandcamp store. And the owner is band's called Glacier. They've been around for a long time. It's an amazing traditional heavy metal band. Do check it out. And awesome friends of ours and really great band.
Right all those things.
Yeah, Scorpion Metal Records. All right, cool. Let's see what we got going.
I usually go by the record labels and just see who all's on there and just start listening. So that's what I usually do. So.
Yeah, I do too.
There are some amazing bands out there that, unfortunately we can't connect with everyone because we only do this once a week. But maybe at some point, we get picked up. Maybe Joe Rogan retires and they need a fill in. I don't know, but
oh yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, right. But maybe one day this turns into something where we can actually put our time and effort into doing this. Maybe even on a daily basis. So
that would be great.
I mean, but until then, we'll just continue doing what we're doing, and hopefully keep pushing people into your guys' direction for musical choices, and just keep pushing forward that way. So
it takes a lot of time, man. I really appreciate what you guys are doing because it takes a lot of time to set things up. To contact bands, to find bands firstly, and to contact them to put a time that works for both the band and you guys together, and set the whole stream thing up. I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort, and really awesome that you guys are doing this for smaller bands like us. So, cheers.
We've adjusted our times and days a few times for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We could give them the platform to do this. So.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah, we've done Saturday. We've done Saturday mornings. Yeah, didn't we do a Thursday one time?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. I think Martin Montnet was on a Thursday night.
So. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, so we try to be as flexible as we possibly can. So,
like I said, hopefully, we'll keep promoting you guys, and hopefully you can see some statistics start going in your favor. So that's our main goal. So
awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And you'll be getting another email from me when I get because there's a couple of places I can't go to live, so I'll wind up trimming the video down and shooting it onto there and those platforms, and I'll give you the links to that too if you want to share those as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hey man, we appreciate it. Shasink enjoyed the talk and the information and sharing some of your culture with us. We appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every little bit of it. We like getting introduced to the bands, but like I say, this is the first time we've talked to someone from India. And a couple weeks ago we went to South America for the first time. So we like to get to know you guys personally and professionally. So it's a little bit of everything. We like to cover it all if we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, thanks a lot for doing this.
Plus, we're doing that to show everybody that the metal is worldwide.
Metal is absolutely worldwide.
Absolutely. We wrote a song about this, as cheesy as it might sound, but the song is called Metal or Nothing. This is our tribute. Yeah.
It was so good too. I don't think it's cheesy at all, Shashank. I love metal songs about how awesome metal is. I don't care if it's self-adulation. I don't care, because that's how strongly I feel about heavy metal. I know it's just I
absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's that familiar sound. I mean, that's why we stick to the traditional style of heavy metal. It's that familiar sound. It's that the cheesiness, but in a good way, which takes you back, gives you that throwback, kind of a sound, reminds you of all the awesome bands back in the 80s. That is why we do this, and that song is our tribute and our way of saying thanks to everyone that has been supporting us, and especially the people who have crowdfunded our tour back in 2019. So it was us dedicating that song to them, and today I dedicate the song to both of you for for putting this together and for
awesome.
promoting our band.
And I want to thank you now for opening that door, because Chris has been chomping at the bit to do a new metal about metal playlist. So.
Yeah, I kind of have. Yeah, we've
have to get in at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do 2.0. So we've done one once, but there's been so much.
2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago. So I mean, there's been so much, because I mean, well, Shasanki, I mean, you've got Gods of Metal on All Hail the King too. So you've got more than one song about how awesome heavy metal is. So
yes.
So, but yeah.
Again, man, we appreciate you taking your morning and your time out to chat with us a little bit, and hopefully we'll let you get about your day. And
yeah, likewise, man. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and take care. Hope to see you guys one day.
Yeah,
we'll do this again whenever you come out with something else, man. We'll give you a chance to promote something new. So.
Absolutely, yeah. We
awesome.
Yep, open invitation anytime.
Awesome. Maybe the next time I can get the whole band here.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Take care, guys. Cheers. Awesome talking to you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Yes.
Awesome.
Hell yes.
Thank Ben Cox.
Yes.
For Against Evil.
A very good guitarist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say if you heard him play, you would be like, man, this guy is very underrated. He needs to be in some talks for sure. So.
Well, that's the thing, is that's one of the benefits of doing this show the way we have decided to do it, is the bands that we've uncovered from the places that we have found them. South America,
right.
Our last two guests, South America and India. I mean, non-traditional markets, playing, well, in Against Evil's case, a non-traditional market playing traditional heavy metal and playing it very well. Yes. I mean, if you're a traditional heavy metal fan or a thrash metal fan, these guys are going to be right up your alley, because I mean, it's just it's no nonsense. It's straightforward. I mean, it's just they sing about. They sing about the typical heavy metal stuff: society, war, politics, and they don't even really sing about politics all that much. So so I mean, they've got some songs about it, but I mean, they sing about society, they sing about war, and like we just talked about right there at the end of the interview there, they got a couple of songs about how badass heavy metal is, because it is. So I mean, it's just, and Shashank was saying that it may sound cheesy, but I don't think it does. But even if it does, hell, Tim Ripper Owen said, "Hey, cheese pays the bills." So hey, it doesn't matter.
It makes the cheese.
Yeah, it does. So it doesn't matter to me. I mean, hell, Dream Evil, they had their album come out last week, and the name of the album is Metal Gods, and one of the songs on the album is the title track. It's called Metal Gods, and it just talks about how awesome metal is. And hell, they've written one of my favorite metal songs about metal, just called "The Book of Heavy Metal." It's just, so yeah. I mean, I will never not enjoy a heavy metal song about metal, because they always come out so well. I haven't heard a shitty metal song about metal yet. I haven't heard one yet.
Not that I can think of right off the bat, anyway.
No. Mm-mm.
Anyway, appreciate him for talking to us. It's actually, like, it's just cool to me to talk to people from other countries about metal. It's just,
it's been cool.
And to have him say what he said about us is kind of like what we go for. Is like, we're just sitting around drinking coffee or beer or whatever you want to say, shooting the shit about metal. So
that's it.
It's not a this is not a 2020 interview. You know what I mean? It's a couple questions and see where it goes, kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, nobody's under fire. No one's under any pressure to talk about anything they don't want to talk about, because we're just here to talk about the music. But by and large, I mean, we do like to learn about India and Brazil and stuff like that. But I mean,
I think for the most part, it just kind of gives it an organic feel, and it makes every interview different. So, and that's what I like about it. So I don't want to be out here giving you the same interview every week with a different band, because it wouldn't make any fucking sense. Like,
nah.
It would just kind of be like, okay, well, these guys are boring. They're saying the same shit over and over.
Yeah.
The only time we do that is when Chris tries to bring up wrestling, but
I don't do that.
Or somebody in the damn thing talks about hockey, then I just see myself out. So
yeah.
But no, it's really cool to get to talk to somebody.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, now we can self-promote a little bit, since we're off of that subject. So as you can see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, Metalheads Unite is now playing music 24/7 at stream.trulyradio247.com/8008/stream. You can go on there anytime. It's rolling. So except for the other night when they messaged me and said, "Hey, is yours down?" So I guess they had like a deal with the feeds or something. I can't remember what you said. It got resolved pretty fast. So.
Well, as long as we don't have another server farm, burned down. Yeah. So
Jesus, God, let that happen again. We still haven't caught up from the last one yet. So
I know. That's what I'm saying. Please, no more server farm fires. Let's not do that anymore.
We're putting out playlists every week still, and those are going on there. So it's growing at this point. So just
yes, it is.
If it happens again, so
yeah. Which also does mean that there is Against Evil music on the 24/7 live radio station.
There is Against Evil music there.
Yep. Hopefully by next week I'll have my damn computer issues figured out. I'm surprised my arms haven't fallen asleep holding this phone the whole time.
Yeah, that's a long time to hold a phone.
Yeah. I've been trying. I have been switching, hands back and forth, but still, I mean, I've been trying to hold the camera as still as possible. But hopefully, I haven't given anybody fucking motion sickness or anything. I don't know. So
anyway, good news is I do have all of the equipment in to do T-shirts. So sometimes this weekend or next week, I'll be setting all that up, doing some test runs, and hopefully by the end of August we will be talking about. Actually, hopefully both of us will be wearing at least one of them.
Yeah.
By the end, so we can try to start promoting those, and getting those out of here before we have to do another one in 5 more months.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna get the 2023 World Tour shirts out just in time to have to make the 2024. Yeah.
But it's all good. Like I said, now that I got my own stuff, I get that going. I won't have to depend on nobody else. So
that's right. Yeah.
Kind of where we were at with the cost didn't make sense to not do it.
Hell no, man.
To do a dozen shirts, I can do them myself. It's like, and I can do as many as I want. So
right, as many as we need, because I know we have a couple orders to fill already. But I mean, so So that's totally fine. We can do them at a pace that makes sense, because even like Shasank said, I mean, doing limited amounts and do them as you need them. And if you run out, it looks good that you ran out. It really does. Because I actually was over at their Bandcamp page, and like almost everything is sold out, which is good. Their shirts, they've got patches, they've got like bundles, and like almost all their bundles are sold out. So it's a good look. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the main thing is I want to get this stuff up and going and get it kind of perfected before the Rockin' Pod next year. So
Yes.
I want to make sure I can take merch with me to that thing next year. So
yeah, instead of just those little stickers we had. Yeah. So, but yeah, that would be great.
And,
Which I mean, I guess since you mentioned it, I mean, of course it's in April, so I mean it's another another 8 months away, but and so we will obviously talk about it plenty of times before then, but be we will be attending the Rock and Pod Expo again in 2025. They didn't have it this year because they kind of there was a changing of the guard as far as who was organizing the whole thing, so I mean, Chris is still going to be.
That wasn't the thing. It was they double booked the dates. The venue did. So
I thought it was because Chris was taking a step back. So
Tracy was trying to get it done this year, and they had double booked the dates, and they were like, we thought you were going to do it in like March or April. She's like, no, I already booked it for July, I think it was. She said, no, I already booked it for July, and they said, no, we got you. We don't. And then they looked and they said, "Oh, we did have you. We had you double booked." And so I'm sorry, but this thing's kind of gotten. I don't remember what it was, but evidently it was more important, or for some reason. But
debatable. But
yeah, exactly. But I think it was. They said, "Oh, well, you can do it in." I think the problem was they said they could do it in August. I think they said they could do it end of July, 1st of August, or I don't remember how that worked. Maybe it was in March. Yeah, maybe it was in March again, and then they double booked and they said, well, we had to open it in July. And she says, well, I don't want to do that because if I do it in July, I won't have enough time to organize the following year. I think that's what it was.
I think that actually sounds right now that you're telling it. Yeah, I think that's right because they want to keep it approximately spring of every year, which is great because it gets so goddamn hot down here. But so yeah, doing it in April in 2023. I mean, yeah, it was actually nice. I mean, the weather was nice, and
they were trying to get them to do it in July, and she said, "Well, there's no way." She said, "I could do it this year in July, but then I just have to miss next year anyway because I need a full year to get people,
right,
people together, because these guys know their tour dates way ahead of time, so
yeah."
They know when they're going on. I mean, just like Trivium and Bullet from Valentine's already knowing when they're coming. They already announced they're coming here to the U.S. So
yeah, they need to hurry up and announce those tour dates. I want to know.
You just haven't announced any dates yet.
Yeah, I know. I want to know where I have to go and how much I have to pay because I'm going.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I'm going. But yeah, so we will be at the Rock and Pod Expo again next year. It's April 16th through the 19th. I could be wrong.
Something like that.
Somewhere around mid-April, but we will be doing another live broadcast from there. Obviously, we don't know who all we're going to be interviewing yet because it's ways away. So
I don't even think they give me the list till January. So
yeah, so yeah, but that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. The one we did in 23 was a blast. I mean, we interviewed so many more people than I thought we were going to get to interview, and people I would have never guessed that we would have gotten interview. So there's no telling, what 25 is going to be like. So
yeah, I can't wait. So being our second year, we've gotten a little bit more under our belt, a little bit more experience under our belt too. So that's always a plus too. So
yeah. And hopefully with this being August and the expo not being until April, hopefully, maybe, because of course I do have a microphone now and I didn't have one last year. So I mean, I've already got one new piece of equipment. We got to get this damn computer situation figured out for not just next week, but going forward too. So I mean, you know, we are growing and getting better at this as you know as we go along. You know, equipment issues aside. So yeah, it'll be fun to go up there again next year. So we're kind of looking forward to that. So as speaking of looking forward, as far as I know, and Jason, you can back me up, you can verify this. As of right now, I don't think we have a band booked for next week.
Not yet.
So not yet. So it does look like we may have to end this streak at 3 weeks, which is fine because I mean, when streaks end, you just work on starting another one. So we'll keep plugging away. Of course, we'll see who we can reach out to, who we can kind of reel in. As of right now, it kind of looks like we'll be back at the regular format. Obviously, if that changes, we'll let you know, especially if it ends up being something that changes from Friday night to Saturday morning. We'll let you know that. Follow us on all the socials, of course, YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, the Facebook group, the Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, all of those. I'll have the Metalhead Minute posted this Wednesday, and then tune in this coming Friday to see what's going on, whether or not it's the regular format or if it's another guest. So metalheadsuniteusa@gmail.com is our email address.
Yes, sir. So again, thanks again to Chasink, guitarist for Against Evil, for joining us. And if you missed that, we will be posting that up on Spotify and Rumble within the next week or so.
Yep.
I am a band behind because I was out of town, so I got to catch that up too. So,
Oh yeah, that's great.
So, but we will get caught up and get things rolling back in August. I have about 6 weeks before I have to go back out traveling again. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Actually, it depends on when I have to be on an airplane on that Saturday, whether I do a Friday night show. We'll see.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to miss the end of September because of Louder Than Life. I'll be at Louder Than Life on that Friday.
Yep.
But the other ones, I'm going to try to work it in if possible. Like I said, it just depends on the flight. I don't have no control over that because it's work related. So they kind of just say, "Hey, this is when you got to go." So.
Yep. It's unavoidable sometimes. We do the best we can. So.
This was a thing that it's some new thing they're doing here this year with work. So I don't mind it, honestly, because I work in an office 2 to 3 days a week. So if I can get out of the office, I'm good. I'm good with any time to get me out of the damn office. So
absolutely.
So yeah. Anyway, hopefully we'll catch you guys here next week. Same time, same great channel.
That's right.
Yeah. And also, like I said, you can go back on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff, and catch the Twitch, catch the replays. I think the Twitch is only for 7 days, and then it kind of goes away. But actually, I gotta look at some settings on there. I'm glad. Actually, let me write that down because I will forget that shit if I don't Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things I need to look at too. Obviously, I got to get the computer fixed, and I think I'm probably gonna go ahead and, of course, it wouldn't have done me any good this week with having the equipment issues I'm having. But I think I am gonna go ahead and upgrade our Twitter to premium because that's going to be the only way that we're going to be able to live stream to there. So I think I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna upgrade to premium for that, and so we'll kind of go forward from there. So
cool. All right, gang. Hopefully, like I said, we'll catch you back here next week. Until then, keep those horns held high. Jump in that pit anytime you can.
Have a great week, you guys. Thank you much.